Good. We have code-based OData services. So we'll be touching the finishing concepts today. Let us see what are those topics for us today. So let me go into this sales order one, change. So the options, whatever we have here on the OData project, all the possibilities. So now we have explored entity types along with its complex types and associations, entity sets as well. So in the associations, now we know how to establish the relationships, but there is a small thing under these associations, referential constraints. So these referential constraints, when we will use this one, whenever if the key fields are not matching or the names are different in the entity sets, the relationship entity sets. So that time we will need to specify on which key field this has to build the relationship. Okay, so if you see here, sales document number and dependent property, it's whatever. If it is not a key field, if it is not in the key field, then we need to explicitly mention what is the relationship or join condition basically. So what is the join condition that we need to mention here explicitly, if at all. So apart from this, there is nothing else in the referential constraints. If we want to mention any additional non-key fields as well, we can go ahead and mention the non-key fields, but in the parent entity, it will just pick up the key field. Based on this key field, if we have any additional fields in the dependent entity, we can mention that. But in this case, this is the wrong example. Okay, we will not be mapping anything else to sales document number because it has already its mapping available in the items as a sales order. So we do not want this one, so I just delete this one. Okay, this is just thought of giving you or clearing this off. So some places you might see the referential constraints in some of the projects. So you might get confused, what is this referential constraints and things like that. This just keep in mind that it's a giant condition on the association between the entity sets, parent and dependent entity types defined or configured in the association. Okay, that's it about the associations. And the other things here we have, so whatever the component or we need to create under a OData project. So we will be directly going into data model and we will be trying all these options to create any of the component or the data model artifacts, whatever we have created so far. If you see here, create, in this create, we have finished all of them. And if you see association sets, so this is just to build the relationship between the entity sets. Okay, this is not necessary to achieve the navigation. And function import, yes, we have covered it. Complex type done, association done, entity set done, entity type done. So now we can understand what is this entity type and entity set, etc. And these terminologies will come in serious use as well. So entity set like this. So at that point of time, we will be able to easily understand what these entity set association and etc. These all the functionalities exist using CDS view as well, but a slight difference uh, mapping. That's it. So this function import, as I mentioned, this will be used as an action in BOPF action in terms of CDS based OData services. And now the next we have here is import. So they are all going to be simple, and we will be looking at these import now. So in the import as well, we have seen DDIC structure already. So if we pick up DDIC structure, we know. So what is the entity type it is asking, and what is the database structure we need to choose the fields from. In action, it will be same what we have done in this sales orders. So this is what it is going to create if we go and use import and DDIC structure. This is what is going to happen. Instead, we have done this in this way. And next, in the import, we have RFC or BOR interface. So this RFC or BOR interface, if we want to make use of any of the RFC or function module, then we should if definitely we need the structures of importing or exporting parameters as entity types and entity sets. So in that case, we will use this RFC or BOR interface. But going forward, we may not be using this method RFC or BOR interface. Instead, we will be making use of CDS use effectively. Okay, but in case if you want to go ahead and import or map any of the function module or RFC here, we are happy to go ahead and give entity type, and here we can choose whatever it is, whether it is a BOR BOR object or a remote function call. So in this case, the remote function module, whatever we will be building, that has to have the support of OData functionalities such as paging and etc. So the paging, definitely the RFC has to support. Uh, it should take a top and skip and etc. filter etc. Based on that, the function module has to return the data. So in a way, if we want to say this function module or RFC, whatever we decide to build, that has to be specifically built keeping the OData functionalities in mind. Okay, that is the requirement about this remote function call. So I could have shown this if we had any RFC available in the system, but EPM models data is not available. So we're not able to go into the EPM data models at the moment. So for that, for the particular thing, we will be creating entity type name here. So it picks up the structure of importing or exporting parameter, and it creates as entity type in our entity types under data model. And also there will be a implementation. This implementation, we will see that. So that is the simplest approach we will be using going forward. And for now, let me go to this trip plan. For example, we have entity types, country value help. I think the country value help, what we have, I think we have the DDAC assigned. Okay, that's fine. So let me go into this one itself. So in the import, we have such help here. So it's a similar. What they does, they just take a reference of these existing objects and they acquire the adopt the properties of these such helps into OData project. So this such help will straight away go ahead and do a such help uh, import, because that should be straightforward. I think I had this such help T005 HT005. So the country value help, let's take this as an example, just to check whether the value help exists for this or not. And now let me go ahead and import the such help. So this will this will reduce the time of development. Give me a moment, please. So in the entity type name, I'll just say country value h type, for example, and import such help name. And this is what my such help name. So if you see here, these two options by default, they are selected, and create default entity set also selected. So now going ahead with this, now if you see here, we have the properties, whatever the importing or exporting properties available on this one, they are all listed down here. So let me go ahead and display this one. If you see land one, so it is completely depending upon the input export, these parameters, it will display here. So let me choose my result set here. So all of them. Next. So what is the key here? Land one is the key. Okay. So go ahead. That's finished. What is this one? Okay, it's sales order. That's fine. So if I expand this one here, the properties, land one is created and entity sets, the default entity set created for us. Okay, so now we're done with the entity type and entity set creation. So what could be the implementation for this one? So now we need to implement get entity set and get entity, right? Basically, but get entity set in our case, as this is going to be a value help, now we need to implement get entity set. So let me generate it. And usually what we do, we just go to our DPC ext class and we implement the business logic inside the get entity set method of respective entity type. So it's generated. So now let me allow someone. Yeah. Okay. So usually we will be taking this step to implement the business logic to get entity set. So if we see, we have this get entity set everything available right now, but we will not be doing in this way at the moment. We just follow some easy step here. So let me go ahead to service implementation here. So in the service implementation, let's expand it. We know that there will be implementation methods added for all the entity sets we have added. If you see here, there is surprising thing happened in this case. So for get entity and get entity set, a default mapping everything something. We see some connector here saying mapping. So it's really interesting, but we don't see such things for rest of the entity sets here. So this is what happens when we go with import RFC or set helps. In these two cases, the default implementation happens for set help or RFC, whatever. So if we double click on this mapping, and if you see here, it's just land one field, it's exporting, which means this will be input parameter to the set help. Sorry. Okay. So this will be same as our, sorry, I just closed it. If you look at our set help input and output, can you see it? The same way our implementation, we don't need to do anything here, but in case of function modules, we might need to use this propose mapping button here. So we will be using this for our serious references as well. But beforehand, we are having a look at it. So propose mapping here. So if we click on this propose mapping, when these fields are not populated, then automatically the framework, gateway framework, will look for the same type attributes here, and it just goes uh, and picks up the field names into this mapping. So this is for what? This is for get entity. And if you look for get entity set, it's again, there will be landex, everything, all these parameters. So whatever, it will still consider some filterings as well. So these are all for filtering. If you all enter some value as a filter or something, it will automatically goes and filters those values and comes back. Interesting, right? So this is what the easy path we will be, and from now onwards we will not be entering into any huge type of code implementations. Okay, that is some happy news for us. So let me generate it, regenerate it. Anyway, we have the implementation, and we do not need to write any implementation in our methods, but we will go and have a look what is happening inside the get entity and get entity sets. Okay, so let me go into this one. Let me relaunch my class builder. So scroll down, yes, and get entity set here. So let me duplicate, and it says the DPC has been implemented. Yes, that's fine. If you see here, it is the wonder that the gateway framework does on generate. So we do not need to write all these code as an implementation. Okay, so if you clearly observe it, it is even implementing the filter operations as well. Okay, good, right? So now it is automatically get such help values, everything perfect. Okay, and same thing for get entity as well. Even for get entity, it refers to our such help or whatever the import method we have used. In case of function modules, those function module call will be automatically implemented here by the framework itself. Okay, Yeah, someone raised question. Yes.
Yeah, Chandra,
Yep.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Actually, do you have any example RFC that we can use for OData in the future?
We
Because
don't.
I would like to see it on the implementation like that.
Yeah. So we do not have an example here at the moment. They are not giving the data. Uh, okay. So let me prepare something. Look at that and come back to you. Okay. At least I'll create it and I'll show you that. Okay.
Yeah, sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the one that happens with this one, and same for all the input helps or search helps, whatever we prefer to use, or we import from data dictionary or whatever the existing objects. Same thing is gonna happen. So now we are clear with these three and data model from file. So sometimes we will be having the metadata file. So this data model is nothing but it will have the metadata file, how we get into gateway client metadata. So if we have that metadata file in hand, generated in some other system or something like that, how it happens is, I think uh, in case of migrations or in case of different SAP systems, sometimes we might need to replicate the OData services into other SAP system. So in such cases, it might not be a good idea to manually key in or manually create uh, all the entities and data types, whatever there in other system. For example, if you have, let's say you have deleted this project in development system, but you are not able to uh, uh, retrieve it back. So in these cases, but you have a reference of this in your quality system. So in this case, it may be a tedious task to uh, replicate entire metadata in your development system. So in this case, what you do, you just go to your quality system and you take the metadata and you save that as a metadata file, and you just come here and you just upload it. So when you upload it, all the entity types and sets, whatever it has, they all will be created as expected in here quickly. Okay, so that's why we have the data model from file here. So it will ask for custom import or full import. So if there is a model exist, that will be overwritten, so we can't recover it. If custom import, so it will, if it exists, then I think in our case, the example whatever I have said, so the full import will be the good idea, because it will not keep any unrelevant. It freshly regenerate and overwrite the model information. Okay, so in general, it's a very rare case we use this import, but just in case if you want to do in your any of the project, then there is an option to import the file into gateway project. And now there's redefine. So this redefine, we are very much interested to know about it. So this redefine is to extend the existing OData services gateway, and also external OData services. So here we don't have examples for this BOPF service and the BW query services. If we have any BW queries built and they wanted to be exposed as OData services and with some more additions, then we can do these BW queries in here as well. But and also OData service, I think we do not have example for this OData service as well. So don't get confused between this OData service and the OData service SAP gateway. So this is the only example we can do at the moment. So it's clearly says whatever the project created using SAP gateway, such as SEGW, those projects can be enhanced or redefined with additional functionalities or overwritten functionalities. And this OData service is the external OData service, which has implemented in any remote system. Okay, those non-SAP technology as well. So those OData services also can be registered in Gateway, and they can also be redefined according to the new requirements. So now let me go ahead and create another project for extension. Extension gateway project. Yes.
So in case of redefinition,
Yep.
As you mentioned, right, we can create a service based on with reference to CDS also.
Correct. Correct.
B2, I mean, like with reference
Yes.
to CDS.
Yes.
So in that case, extension will happen at the CDS level or OData level.
So we can do at the both the levels, but if you have a CDSU, then the recommendation would be to extend at CDS level itself.
Okay, then it will generate the code in backend.
Yes.
I mean, in
the framework. Yes, framework will take care of it. Yes.
The recommendation is at CDS level.
Yes, exactly.
So, okay.
Yep. So gateway extension project. So I think, okay. So if you want me to take the standard example, I can take it. Otherwise, I can take this ZTH sales orders as an example. It will make us simple to understand. If we take the standard OData project, existing project, it will have a lot of information, a lot of entity sets and things like that. So let me take this project. I will just go ahead and let me generate that one. Yeah.
So the same steps can be replicated for the standard also.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. It's existing. It doesn't matter where it is in customer namespace or SAP namespace. We can straight away go ahead and give the project and create a redefinition for that particular OData service or OData project. So let me go here and implement a redefinition. So here, okay, for your concern, let me take this standard itself, technical service name. Service version is 1. Version 1 does not exist. So this is the wrong example then. Let me go ahead to my friendly slash service catalog. Service catalog, let me, this is what I believe. It doesn't exist. That's correct. Let me register my service here. So let me put this service, no backend service found, business partner. I think, yep, there is no SRV. Let me register this one. So it's the business partner OData service, whereas we have numerous entity types and entity sets and a lot of functionality into it. So it's up to you which existing or standard OData service you pick. It doesn't matter for us for our example. So successfully registered, and now let me go ahead to our project and let me remove this SRV was the wrong name. If you see, it straight away goes ahead and brings all the entity sets and all the uh, things whatever available in the OData service. So we can choose whatever the entity set we wanted to extend or redefine part of this OData service, or we can choose all of the entity sets and all of the properties available in the OData service as well. So the better idea would be including everything in the OData service, because if we the customer decide to extend any of the OData service, then the usage of the standard OData service is going to be avoided, because the standard OData service will not hold the redefinition whatever created in the customer namespace. So that is the reason a new service will be generated after extending or redefining a existing gateway project or OData service. So that is the reason why we should choose all of the entity types in this one. So let me go ahead and choose all of the entity sets, execute, associations, everything. And once it is finished, yes, yes.
Sorry. In this case, if any one entity set selected, then still it will keep standard service, right? In the usage.
No, even if you select all of the entity sets, still the standard OData service stays as it is. But whatever the functionality we implement here, that's not going to be there in the standard service. But still, yes,
so
but still,
standard, right?
yes, that's correct. That's correct. Okay. And if we see this one, we have got all its entity types and entity sets, everything here. Okay. And including associations and relationships, everything has been brought into our extension project of OData. So now what we need to do, what is the functionality, the additional functionality we are going to make on this one. So let's generate this one, and so that we will have our runtime artifacts generated. Okay, that's fine. So this is the new service, new OData service is going to be generated out of it, and we need to register that as well. Save it. So again, let's go here. Let it. Yep, perfect. got generated, and let me go here and register the service. Yes, fine. Excellent. Now our new service has been added into the catalog. So we have not done anything right now in our this extension gateway project. Let me go to gateway client. So the gateway client, it acquires all the implementations of API business partner by default. So if I go for entity sets, the entity sets, whatever we have there, all the entity sets will be displayed. And if I execute this one, the implementation of API business partner will be called and it gives the response, not the OData project or OData service what we have created in our OData project. So if you see the information coming from which OData service is giving this information means it's API business partner, not the extension gateway project. So it has all the navigations, everything into rebuilt or imported into the new project, extension project. So if we want to change any new way of determining this information, for example, so in here, so if we want to determine something, country or city code, let's say for example, if we want to populate this city code, or um, where is it, the authorization group. So what is created user? I don't want that. It's a customer classification or customer full name. Okay, not customer full name as well. Okay, so if the customer country is coming blank, let's take this as an example. If the customer country is blank, then populate IN as a default country code. This is what the requirement, let's say business requirement. So we have the list of customers in the system, but the standard API is returning blank value, but we need that to be corrected. If the country value is blank, then default it to IN. This is what our requirement. So now we know what is the entity set being used for this one. So A customer is the entity set, is also the endpoint on this particular OData service. So on this endpoint, we know that entity set will be uh, possible to give as an entity endpoint. So now if it is an entity set, then obviously we know from uh, service implementation, runtime artifacts, what is the method we should look into. So what is the method we should look into? Okay, so let me go into my get entity set. So this is not projecting to specific customer. It's just projecting to the whole entity set. Okay, so let me go to a customer underscore get entity set. So if you see here, a customer get entity here and a customer get entity set. This is the method. So if I double click on it, as soon as we double click it, it will tell us what is the method has been implemented with this business logic. So this is the class method where the business logic already implemented to uh, retrieve or whatever the populate or return the data according to the request. But now we will be going into that implementation. If you see here, it's just something we will understand this later. Okay, so this SADL, if you see, so this SADL, where SADL comes, we know that by now, but in future we will see more of these examples. But it's a straight simple statement. There is some implementation. We don't want to know what this implementation is, but we are also sure that it's not raising any exception that method not implemented. So there is implementation. Okay, so let me go back. If we to achieve our requirement, come on. Okay, taking some time. That's okay. Yep.
So Changal,
Yep.
whatever we redefine in the extension project,
Yep.
that only will be changed. Other functionality will be
Remain as it is.
right?
Exactly.
Oh.
So now let me go ahead and redefine this A customer get entity set. So I'm just redefining it. Let me go into change mode. It's my mistake. Okay. So let me redefine this method, get entity set method. Now we see something populated here. We usually go and remove this block, but as we need the existing functionality as well, we are not removing this functionality, and we just still need this functionality to be called because we want the um, data from superclass. So whatever the data retrieval has been implemented, we want the data. So we are not here, if you clearly understand the requirement, we are not completely changing the way of how this business partner or customer information is being pulled, but instead we wanted to change something on top of the data which is already retrieved. So if this data is blank, then just populate it with some different value. Or if it is blank, if you have certain business logic, go and pick the country key from so and so custom table for this customer and populate it, even that is possible. Okay. But in our case, we are just going with a constant or fixed value to populate country as India. So to achieve that, we should let the framework go ahead with the existing business logic implementation. Okay, so let me do that, and on top of it we should make changes to populate the country key. Okay, so now I have called the super class method or the original implementation to fetch the data. Now I will be making changes on this ET entity set. So now let me take this one and value. I'm taking this as base and for ls row in this one. What is the field name here? Country. Country equal to, I'm just putting the condition here. When it is blank, then default the value to India. Okay, so this is pretty simple implementation what we are doing now. So yeah, country equal to blank, then this one, else country. Okay, where is this? County, county. Come on, it's not country. Is there country anywhere? Mm, nope. Country will be at the BP. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. Let's say county itself. Okay. The county is fine for us. What is this? Yeah, perfect. So now, if you see, we had just executed the implementation of this one, the existing data source, and on top of it, we are just populating the county to IN. So let me go here, and I do not need to reload anything here because I haven't made any changes in my project. It should work as uh, as it was, but it should return us the county key here. Normally terminated. What was it? Okay, sometimes base. Okay, that's interesting. Let me go to error log. Okay, so something syntax error. It's not here. ST22. So that means we should check something here. The syntax is causing issue. Yes, it was runtime error, and it is in this class. Where is it? Yes, it's exactly here. The base is not considering this ET entity set, so it happens sometimes. Yes, I knew it. Okay, fine. Let us try this one now. And we have it here. So you see, we have got 102 entries from the existing implementation here. Okay, and now we will see our custom implementation here. So yes, and here we go. So if you see, where is this? Come on, it's loading issue. I'm just stopping it here. Let it come back.
To type the URL and open it in the browser.
Yeah, let me try that. But again, we should have some extensions on browser to understand JSON. That's the main. Let me see. This goes fine this time. Yes, and go to entity sets, pick up the customer and format JSON again, and I will go with another URI operation here. Let's say top 2. Okay. Okay, it has given me top 2 records. Then go ahead. Here we go. So not populated. County is not populated. And restore the information. Yes, it is populated. Maybe my way of writing it is different. County condition when it is blank. That's correct.
See, ET entity set is it updating or not?
Yeah, we will see that now. We're not putting any conditional statement here. That should go as expected, but maybe. Mm, yep, LT entity set and ET entity set we have got. Sorry. Here we go. Got it. That's fine. So earlier my syntax was different. So here I have taken the base when I was using this same table, and I was just modifying in that table itself. But I shouldn't have base now. I have to move all the records from this table to this table. Okay, so there is no base. Earlier, all the parameters were same, but I changed. I have taken new parameter, right? So new internal table. Now I'm just moving this information to this one. So we should do here is corresponding and then this one.
No, there is a space I to give ls underscore group correspond.
Sorry.
Close bracket where it is. It's given already.
Oh, sorry. Yes. Thank you. So let me go ahead now. Solve about my poor web skills. Again, it has added multiple lines. That's okay, but we see the county has been populated to IN. Okay, so these four entries, I don't know why they are coming, but we can restrict that. So we see the county value updated to IN. Okay, so this is something the empty row coming out. So we can restrict this empty row by finding the exact reason why it is. So the only point what we need to understand here is whenever we are doing extension to an existing OData project, so we should identify the exact entity set of that particular existing OData service, and we should be implementing in the respective method, and the utilizing the existing implementation is again according to our business requirement. So if we want to change the complete derivation or determination or data source of that particular entity set is new, then we will not be using the existing functionality of the OData service for data retrieval. Otherwise, we will be still calling the super class method. The same method exists in the super class. For in our case, it's a customer and get entity set. So we have used the same method, and after that, we are applying the data changes. Okay. And one more thing here, if after retrieval to this implementation, if we are adding any new data to this one, okay, if we are adding any new entries to ET entity set, then we must need to take extra care about the newly entered data into this parameter, because if we have seen here, I have restricted the number of entries to 2. Okay, so if you clearly observe, the superclass implementation has given me only 2 entries, meaning all the URI operations, including filter, order, the paging, and batch, everything, whatever the URI conventions, URI operations are applicable on this one, are handled by the superclass implementation, and it gives after handling all those URI conventions. The result will be after handling all those conventions. But if we are adding any data to the new entries to already filtered data, then that's going to be incorrect. So in our case, so this is the best example I would say, for some reason my syntax not working here and it is adding up 2 more entries. Okay, so the 2 more entries are being displayed, whereas it is incorrect to the convention, URI convention, whatever I have applied here. I should see only 2 entries, but I'm seeing 4 entries as a result. Okay, so this is the main thing we should remember in case of any redefinitions. And this is also applicable in terms of um, redefining methods of referenced data sources, such as it can be RFC or BOR based or search help or CDS based, whatever it is. So if we are influencing the implementation in Gateway Builder, then it's our own responsibility to consider all the URI conventions like a filter, paging, order, all these options, set string, everything. So all these options need to be handled on our own. Okay, so that is what about the extending the OData services. So any questions you have on this one?
Can we add a new field, Ravi?
Adding new field is not part of this extending OData service, but instead we can in S4HANA we have different way of doing it. Okay, in app extensibility, through in app extensibility we will do it. If that's not possible, then we will be enhancing or adding a new field in our CDS views so that it will automatically reflect in our OData service data entity type. Okay, and in this case, if you are using any database structure, we can straight away go ahead and enhance the database structure. Otherwise, as we have included all our data types, entity types of the original OData project, it's where is this one? Yeah, I think this is not reference to any of the database structure, but we have an option to add new field. And this type is going to be the EDM type. Where is it? No. Where am I? Entity types. Yes. Wait, I'm doing something wrong. I'm at the entity types. So let me go into properties. Yes, this is what the property, and after county, my my custom field. Let me add a type to it. If this entity type has been assigned to any of the database structure, then we won't be able to amend or extend any of the fields onto it unless we have that field in database structure itself. So mostly in our examples, we will be seeing that. Let's say we don't have country here, right? Let me customer country. Let me specify its maximum length as 2. Okay, so let me save this one and generate it. So these are all basically CDS referenced entity types in the original gateway project of this business partner. But if we find anything is not having any data dictionary structure, then we can straight away go ahead and enhance its entity type here. Let me see if it has any errors. I don't expect any errors because I'm sure it doesn't have any database structure assigned to it. That's fine. Yep. So it has been generated now, and we can see the country field as our favorite here. Okay, so I got the issue here. This is what the issue. I was just treating two entries, but they are not two entries. There are one entry, I think. No.
We use a field symbol. Click bar two.
No, we can't use field symbols at this place. We're just doing county equal to this one.
General, this county should be inside the after the LS, that one, right? LS row.
No.
This block, county block.
Okay, let me have a look at this one. It has all blank. Wherever there is county, there is no information. Yes, that's okay. Yes. Mm, oh, okay, that's fine anyway. It's my and here I'm just the country. I'm just defaulting the country to where is it? No component exists with the country key. So let me reload this.
Western. Western.
Oh yeah, correct. Apply the filter. Oh, yep, there it is. Let's go inside and cust country. Where is this? Okay, still sorry, the signature cannot be changed by us. This is the problem. So include a customer. If you see, they all as database structure based. That is the reason we are not able to do it, as it is including two structures. They just define that structure and doing it. So yeah, so physically there is no structure assigned to this one, but technically there is a structure assigned. That is the reason we are not able to achieve this. So if you see, there is no structure assigned to this one, but internally in the signature we have the fixed structure have been assigned here. So that is the reason we are not able to achieve this extension.
We need to extend the standard field maybe. Then we need to extend
Yes, I think whatever the signature we have here in this one, uh, if we extend this one as well, then we might be able to achieve this one. So if you see here, this is customer reference include. So we may be we may need to include this one, add this one here, cust country. Then I think we will be able to let me see if even this is possible. This is a cust country, yeah. So this has been activated, and let's see if this allows to populate the information at least. Uh, what is this one? Uh, I don't want to spend a lot of time on this one. It has to listen to us.
No need to write at the rate for into.
Hmm. Custom and cust country equal to IN. This may be a bad practice, but perfect. This is the one took a long time for us. Let us go ahead and see. I'm expecting only 2 entries. Yes, 2 entries. This time it will be only 2 entries. This one, and perfect. Here we go with no with no custom field. Okay, so we have another approach to try this one, whereas I have that one as well in the list. Not sure if that works.
But cache cleanup is not there. Because
Correct, maybe we have not done the cache cleanup. Let me go here. Cleanup entity sets, or I can even try with metadata. Let's go with metadata. So yes, here we go. Cust country we have in metadata, and let me try with this one with format JSON and also top 2. Okay, execute. Let me execute straight away. Yes, here we go. I remember very well, but I forgot to reload the cache, the metadata. Okay, so a little confusion and little complex, but not that complex. So we have extended in here. So if this could have been assigned with a predefined database structure, that could made our life easier. But we had to extend based on the return type, whatever has been said here. We have referred inside to it, and inside we have a database structure include, and the include we had to extend along with our gateway project. So whatever the property we have added here, so the same property had to be added there as well. So in better knowing this approach as well, but in S4 HANA, it's a straightforward enhancement at the CDS view level, or still we can achieve it using the in-app extensibility available on the Fiori Launchpad itself. Okay, so fine. Any questions? Any questions on this one? Okay, so now we know how to redefine existing OData service and how to enhance it further and adding more data. So, and we need to be careful if we are adding more data, and as well as we need to take extra care if we are completely changing the data determination or data source completely for that particular entity set. So extra care in the sense filtering, sorting, paging, everything has to be taken care manually. Okay, and who is that? Someone has to go on mute. I hear more noise. Yep, thank you very much. Okay, so now we have another option here on this data model, redefine OData service. So this OData service is for external services. So those external services as well, once they are registered into the SAP system, they can be extended further. Okay, using our normal OData extension procedures. And coming to include, so this include have OData service SAP gateway project only. So if we want to include any other project already exist along with it, we need to add some more entity sets, then we will go for this approach. So usually we will not be doing that real time, but there is an option if we want to do so. So let me create another project here. Z include project. In another project, let me go ahead. Yes, that's fine. It is. Let me generate the artifacts as well, or I can straight away go ahead and add any other project. For example, let me add ZTH sales orders. Let me right click on this one, include data gateway project, technical service name. What is this technical service name? ZTH sales orders, SRV, and the version is this one. Okay, and if you see, there are two options here. If this is from a external system, we can still go ahead with this. So we need to choose RFC destination for that, but we are not doing that in our case. Let me include this project. Yes, project included successfully. If you see, there will not be any entity types or sets, some like that, added into this project like extension projects. Instead, the model reference will be included in the new project. So whereas this model tells or refers to the actual metadata and implementations of the original project. So whenever there is new implementation or code has been changed in this project, that automatically reflects onto this project as well. Okay, so if I want to create a new entity type here on this project, to say uh, local entity type, so I'll create entity set as well, local entity set. Perfect. And let me create or pick up, sorry, come on, I need to have some database structure. Oh, this is the database structure I need here. Mm. For example, let me take this by country. Let's take this itself. It's just to demonstrate which entity type it is picking up and how it is picking up. And let me import some of the properties here. And sales order and things like this. Enough. Let's go ahead. Okay, fine. So local entity type has been added. That's fine. We are not going to implement anything there. I'll just generate this project. So in this case, one OData service is using another OData service. If we want to put it in this way, we have included one OData service in another OData service along with its entities. So in extension point of view, we may not be using the old OData service, okay, but whereas in this case include OData service, the old or included OData service might be used in some sub process. Okay, the sub process has been included into this one, and this OData service has its own functionality, and this OData service is already in use. Whatever the functionality has been built into this OData service is up to date when using this OData service as well. Okay, so it is not limited to include only one OData service. We can still go ahead and include multiple OData services into a single OData service. If we want to club, or if we face any situation in future, we have an option to do that. And now this has been generated. Let me go ahead and register the OData service. So add and register. Perfect. Go ahead. Yes. And yes. Perfect. So the service has been registered now. Let me open this service in Gateway. Open in Gateway. Cool. So if we go into entity sets, we would love to see all of the entity sets along with included OData service here. So local entity set is the only entity set belongs to our newly created OData service, but rest all of the entity sets have been um, exist in the included OData service. And the implementation of this one is also referred to the existing OData service. We have not implemented anything here. Okay. And if we go to the DPC ext class, let's see how that is looking like for this one. Where is this? Yes. So let me go to runtime artifacts and see include project external service, the DPC ext, and go into the DPC ext of this one. Let's look at it. So let me scroll down. If you see here, we have only local entity set related methods. Okay, so if at all we want to enhance any logic of included OData service, it has to go into its relevant implementation method. Okay, and if we want to see anything exist in the get entity set of application service runtime services, so let's go ahead and see. It's going to DPC. So if you see, it doesn't specify anything about any other entity sets as well. So if we want to do anything on this one, then we must go into this project.
So this will be separate functionality along with the existing.
Exactly.
If you want to do modification in existing, so you need to go with the old OData and do the configuration.
Correct.
I think this will be used for one of the migrations.
Yep.
Where if the old OData service is having already so much of heavy logic and having so many entity sets, then if we want implementing an individual functionality, we don't need to go with the existing one. We can create a new one and do the one.
Exactly correct. So whenever the respective whenever the respective entity set has been called, then only it's going to refer to this underlying OData service. Otherwise, it's not going to touch this at all. It will not be loaded at all. So the performance point of view, yes, it will be better improvement.
So from the UI perspective, they just need to change the service name, right? That is,
yes, that's correct. So let's say if there are apps already running using this OData service, they don't get impacted. Okay, they will still continue using those entity sets whatever has been built on this one. Okay, so if at all we want any additional entity sets, we are not making any changes to these entity sets that exist in this particular sales orders service. They are standalone. Okay, so there will be no impact, and these entity sets will be completely different to these entity sets that exist in this particular OData service. And if they use the root or parent OData service, they have the possibility to make use of all the entity sets, including this one. Okay, so now we have seen almost pretty much everything. We have left out with only one option right now. Let me go ahead and create another project, referenced, or let's say CDS referenced. I will introduce this one as well. Whereas this approach is going to be the recommended and future proved way of OData development. So in this case, we have seen all these options include redefine, import, create, everything, but we have left out with reference. So this reference, we have only data source. So let me go ahead and pick up the data source here. If you see here, we see only CDS entity option. So in this CDS entity option, we can go further and pick up any of the existing CDS view in the system, so that let me go ahead and use our fancy sales order CDS view. So this is the sales order CDS view here I will be using, and there will be differences um, uh, when which kind of CDS view we need to use, but those things we will learn soon. But for now, let's use one of the CDS view and go ahead with our, where is this one? Come.
No, you picked it from
Come on.
if you always show 200 entries possible. Better you take it from this one.
Okay. So CDS entity, I have given my CDS entity as I know it. I copied it from, and let it go ahead and do the tasks, whatever it needs. Perfect. So in the CDS entity, I have all these, whatever we have here, underscore, started with underscore, they are all associations. We are not bothered about associations right now. Where is this? The main I sales order, it's already selected. And if we want to choose any of these associations, then we can choose these associations. I'll let you know. For example, let me choose some of one of the meaningful, and it should have the data as well. Otherwise, company code maybe. No, not company code. So it will be like ocean. You don't get into that complexity right now. Items, yes. Let me take these items as a association. Okay, perfect. So now I have taken the sales order and its item, the association. So let it allow just a minute. Yep, still it is doing something. Okay. These are all the things we are doing first time. So that is the reason why it is taking more time. If you're trying something different in the system, then it will not take that much time. So here we have taken these items and then finish. I think after this, you might be going into system and you will be doing all the trials. Let's see what we will do. Okay, so perfect. So if you see here, whatever the entities or possibilities available in that particular CDS entity, it has added everything into our gateway project. But whatever has been selected by us, they are only available at the moment. And that's it. We don't need to go into this entity types and entity sets anymore. And if you see here, entity types and entity sets, whatever are required to sales order type and items are added here, and the respective associations, the only association we have selected is to items. That is why only one association here. And the entity sets point of view, all the value helps, whatever required for our sales order and sales order item has been added here. Okay, so association sets, again only one association set, because we have chosen only one from a sales order to item. And now let me go ahead and double click on this project. So this is the one, the step we need to remember. We have just activated the OData service right now, sorry, project. Let us take this service name and click OK and save. Perfect. So meanwhile, let me open my transaction here, add service, and put my service readily here. Come back. Quick. Okay. Perfect. The service has been activated. So in case of CDS reference, we don't need to worry about any of these warnings. We can straight away ignore them. And now I'm just going here and I'm just registering my service here. So let's activate this one. Sorry, save this one. Okay, cool. And perfect. Okay. And now let me point this out from my catalog and take it to gateway client. Okay. So if you see here entity sets, whatever the entity sets we have seen there, they are the entity sets. Many of them are value helps, and we see only I sales order and I sales item as actual entity sets in our case. So if we choose I sales order and execute, here we go. We don't need to implement anything in terms of CDS views. Okay, the CDS views, whatever the data retrieval procedure exists in CDS view definitions, that will be replicated, and the same data retrieval process will be taken or adapted by OData. So that is why we are saying SADL, Service Adaptation Definition Language. Whatever has been defined or taken as a reference from CDS views, that is what we see everything in our gateway project. And also the interesting thing, whatever the filter we apply, so if you see created by user, for example, or if we have any specific criteria 1710, let's say 1710 sales organization as a filter option. So dollar filter equal to what is this? Sales organization equals to 1710. If we want to put and, we can put and distribution channel equals to 10, for example, and distribution channel equals to 10 ampersand for formatting. Okay, and also we can include and dollar top equals to 5. So let me execute this one and see how it behaves. It's still success, and we see only 5. And if you see here, where is this one? The sales organization and the distribution channel. Yes, sales organization and distribution channel, it's 1710 and 10. And if I go further, and if you see 1710 and 10, we won't see anything not relevant to the filter criteria, whatever we have seen. We do not necessarily need to implement any of the filtering criteria if we are going within referenced OData services, CDS referenced OData services. And the even more interesting thing is, if you see here in the sales order, we have the default mode 2 items. Okay, so in the default mode we have a navigation property in 2 items, and I'm going here and I'm even going further, and ampersand dollar expand equals to 2 item. So for all these five sales orders, the respective items also will be expanded here. So if you look, here you go. So this is the first sales order and its items. So whatever the number of items the sales order has, it will automatically expand all of its items. So if you see, this is what its item, and 2 items, this is another sales order and its items, and its further items here, and further sales orders and items. Okay, so we will be exploring more on this particular one. So if we go with CDS referenced, then we do not need to implement any of these URI operations, URI conventions, whatever we are applying at the moment on V2 OData services. Everything will be auto-generated by SAP Gateway Framework, which is SADL. Okay, and whatever the properties or navigations we have not selected on this uh, gateway project, they are completely hidden in consumption side as well. At the customer side, we have chosen only 2 items from sales order. Can you please go on mute, please, someone? Okay. So we have chosen only 2 items. That is the reason we see only 2 items here. And if we choose something else from 2 items or on sales order itself, we still we can still go ahead and see all those navigation properties again. Okay. So for example, let me go into the sales order item and where is this? CDS entity one. What are all included here? I sales order. Yes. This in this I sales order we have included whatever the entity sets. I sales order item. Let me find out that one. The system is a bit slow. It's taking time. Come on, come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Here only, right? Sales order item, I understand sales order.
I'm just going there and down by the time it is disappearing. Yeah, it's a refresh rate. Correct. So I underscore item. This one I have selected, and from I underscore item point of view. Come on. Yeah. So if we include all the navigations or all the associations, whatever possible from sales order and sales order item, everything will be added to this. So I have chosen only item at the first instance to demonstrate how we can control if something is not needed on the OData side. So now we have selected everything that available on iSales or CDSU completely. So now let me go to my project and activate it, generate it. Let it generate. And this time I will not forget to refresh the metadata.
Chandra, it is
Yes.
taking based on the root entity like I underscore sales.
Correct. I underscore cell. I underscore sales order.
If you take the direct I underscore item also, it will take the header. Otherwise, it will take from the.
So that those things are completely depending on how we are building our CDS view. Okay, the navigations or associations, whatever we are saying here, we will learn those terminologies. Now we are seeing the capabilities of CDSU. Now we don't know how to build the CDSU to accommodate all these functionalities, right? So we will be learning how we need to build a CDSU to accommodate all these capabilities if we are using it as a reference in our OData project, or how we need to build a CDSU to accommodate to respond with the UI5 application. So there are different kinds of routes we will be taking to develop CDS views. Okay. Come on. So
So it take the custom CDS entity also, it will use all the format.
those types, if you ask me question, people may get confused. Yes, if you take custom entity as well, it will you can still include that in your project. So item set, not this one. Don't want that one. And, yeah, don't want this one as well. So we have selected almost 100 plus associations. Now, what it is doing in the backend, it is going and building all the associations and entity sets, association sets, and entity types, everything. They are the background job is running to generate all these artifacts in backend, so that it will come back and update all these structure graphically to view for us. Come on. So meanwhile, I think if you have any questions on this, I think we can clarify. Apart from developing the CDSU, the referencing CDSUs, they are more powerful. That's what we should understand from this.
So whenever we are referencing the CDS view, then those referencing to OData we call as SADL.
Correct.
When it is directly enabling from the CDS, then what we will call those?
No, even there will be SADL involvement. So that is completely based on. Sorry, you mean the code-based one?
Yeah.
So without reference.
Without
Referencing CDS view, it's a completely a pure code-based, and we need to manually code everything. Okay. So, oh my goodness, it is asking me to regenerate again. So I'll regenerate it. I think it will be anyway available for us one as it is activated one time. Let me go ahead and clean up cache. Yeah, that's fine. And I will just execute the same request. may come back with error. We are executing the parallel activation. Yes, it will not come back. Perfect. That's exactly true. So it's a model is getting generated right now as we have generated it. So it's not able to understand the request. So we shouldn't be doing that. Okay. Okay. So wherever we have a navigation property available, so those navigation properties can all of the navigation properties can be used to know those details, and those navigation properties must be separated with commas. Okay, so and also these if we want to specify any sales order, we can take this sales order and we can even specify the sales order inside or how we um, read it as a get entity. So if I take this sales order and I specify the sales order here, this will also order by skip, yeah, and they are not implemented. That's okay. Let me save this as a variant. So save. Not travel that. CDS reference. Get with multiple URI operations. Okay, now if you see here the sales order ID, this is the way we should be reading this one. Not sure why this 1 and 001 is here, but that is what the ID is suggesting to use. So let me go ahead and put this URI here, and let me trigger the get request. And here we go with all the with all that information. Format JSON, execute. Perfect. So we have only one sales order, and from here, if we want to navigate to any of this particular information, now we know how to use it. So it's all knowing about how we should use the navigation properties when we are projecting on single entity and when we are working on the get entity set. So now we just say slash to item, and now it will straight away go to the items of that particular uh, sales order. So now we don't see the sales order header. This is all item details. Okay, so whereas this sales order has only one item, and uh, we are seeing that one item here. Okay, so by going this way, we will not be able to put the comma operators to see multiple navigation properties. This is not possible, but instead what, okay, let me save this one as well. Get.
Jungle, what is .1 here?
No, I don't know, Suresh. So that is the format or a unique identification the CDS is giving. We're just using that.
Okay, that is the entire thing is sales order number.
Correct. So the key field in the database table, it is sales order. And this one, I think CDS is preparing some uniqueness and need to check that one.
Okay.
Yeah, that is the unique identifier given by the CDS. Not sure what it is. Yeah, we'll check. Get. Navigate to two items. For specific sales order. And if we want to see the multiple navigations on this one, it's again the same way. So you just, as an idea, first step, you just execute the sales order and you will see the available navigations from this sales order, and whatever the property you are intending to expand. Now we need to use the expand key here. Format JSON ampersand dollar expand equal to this one, comma 2 underscore items, like this. Whenever we use expand key, then only we will be able to give the navigation properties separated by comma. Come on, what is this? Resource not found for segment 2 items. Is it 2 items? Yeah, it's 2 item. The navigation property was wrongly given. So now in this case, if you see here, we can see the business area null and 2 item has been expanded. Might be in the bottom. Yeah, 2 item has been expanded. Okay, so 2 sales organization, for example. Let me expand this one as well. It's now we know how to play with this, comma, and put the 2 sales organization navigation property. Now onwards, it's everything perfect. 2 items, and where is the 2 sales organization? Sales office, sales group, sales type. Yeah, here is the sales organization. Okay, so it is executed. Let me save this again. Get navigation to 2 items for specific sales order. Navigate to get specific sales order with multiple navigation properties. Okay, perfect. So now you can play around this. So if you want the URI options, what we can use is the reference place is odata.org. Whatever the URI option you choose from this website here for OData 2.0 version and URI conventions. So all of those URI conventions are pretty much work if you try. So I would request you to try these filter options here. So we have not got chance to work on all these filter options. If you get the chance to include any of these filter options just work through them, and these are all the string options, string functions available on this filter options. So we did not try all these string filters because we will be ending up implementing a lot of custom code. We avoided these steps. So, but in this case, the CDS reference case, we do not need to take any manual implementation for any of these V2 version operations, URI conventions. They all work expected. Okay, SADL help us to retrieve or frame the exact requests or convert these requests into the relevant SQL formats and goes into database and fetch the data back and respond to the client accordingly. So fine. So this is what I thought of covering for today. It's more, but it's interesting as well. Going forward, we will be working on these referenced OData services itself. So by this, we can say bye-bye to the code-based OData services. So we will be moving on to next topics, which is CDS, and also will be integrating tightly with the UI5, the clients, the real clients of OData services. So thank you for today.